for their session. Would like to have you stand. To do a lost and found. This is for somebody's.
Yeah.
We're going to call on Cyril George to give an opening prayer.
In keeping with the theme of this gathering, I'm going to say my prayer in Tlingit. A little explanation, at times when I'm by myself, I pray in Tlingit. I think we have some cute words arrive from kid situations when we're asking, we say many times, to skach, to skach. That comes from a baby when it wants anything, it cries. So when we're asking in our prayer, we're crying for it. So that's what we're going to do this morning. Asking for blessings. The kikhet here on call. Iadeo to tikinya tsutat. Ganashish. Uchanta iati. Hayatke. Hadashankyan kakayas at ku'a. Ha'in genaste. Adjayich teotatan. Tuska. Hadashankyan kakayas. Dasahaku'ako. Ais latsin hatugakati. Hayatke skulke yatke a. Hasaku'akat. Hastujidesaha. Gustakat. Dasa atal kagahtasaade atuye inate hain genaste. Amen.
Before we start, I want to make something a little bit clear here. You'll notice in your book it says this is a clan leader session, but yes, there are clan leaders up here. But just to clarify that, my name is on there, but I'm not a clan leader. I'm only representing the Tuckdane Towns. But having said that, I also want you to let you know that I do have a housemaster. And out of respect for that, my uncle is the one that wanted this man to be the master of our house, Carl Kitt. And there are chairs up here. And again, since this is sharing of the knowledge conference, and we use the word respect at the first day, and I think we have to follow that. I'd like to have John Martin come up here and join us. He is the master of our house. Out of respect.
Andy? Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up today. And this is our second time coming together as clan leaders, the ones that are in town. Not all of them are here. The ones that we talked to in Juneau didn't have enough time to get off work, so all the clan leaders are not here. So we just decided to go ahead with what we do have and try to do the best we can. And Gunatan, I aided you. Well, Andy, I'll have a few words from Andy first.
I want to thank my grandfathers for always letting me say a few words with you this morning. But basically, whatever my grandfather said he say to you, I pretty much am just standing with him in a sheesh.
Looking around, I noticed that the Takeaway D couldn't make it, my grandfathers. And I want to acknowledge the Takeaway D that are sitting amongst us. Pikohas Takeaway D. Wana. Kajas Kate, the head housemasters of the Takeaway D in Angoon. Out of respect, because Ray isn't here, we don't have any Lutha up here. We'd like Paul to please join us.
Right here.
Wait, I'll pull the chair up.
Last night, a few of us sat, as we'd say, sat at the fire and spoke of some of the problems that we're having in all areas, from name giving to memorials to songs to how Atu should be handled. And hopefully, I mean, there's a whole list. We could sit here all day and discuss, and hopefully pass the word on how our clan heads are to be handled. For instance, I know what I've learned and what we're doing here today is we're digging to find answers. And these hats, I know, are who we are. And I can only speak from what I've learned out of Angoon, is that a clan hat is not used when a person is drumming. The clan leaders shouldn't be drumming their song and wearing their clan hat. That was what I put. This is the way we are in Angoon also. I'm going to turn this back, the hot potato, back over to the owner of the land. And we can work and
Yeah, well, we also, we're trying to include all the clans here, and we were missing one of the clans, the Anyedi. So if there's a clan leader out there, please come up. So we'll turn this back over to Ganachtan, Akani. How did you say?
Yaigi wacha. Atude kokagut. Work on. Atude kokagut. AGS. Kwasya hesi chuasku. At kuki ache. Nechuyiti. Yaigi. Yayu Watange Kusanea. Su. Dana Kau. Yuatang. Achwe Hasisko Has Hatako Kwanki. Ye had no skate. You are the good. You could tank ye, you and snare. Yak, yes, yak, yiko yakieti. You could tank. You kids. It's up to you as a clan leader how you conduct yourself. A while ago, the Tlingit language with today's English is being incorporated with verbs, nouns, conjunct, all kinds of things were heard in our Tlingit language. We want full sentences. The English wants a full sentence. That's not how the Tlingit language works. The old folks understood that you put your pants on, your shoes on, your shirt on. The ladies comb their hair, they put beads in the, to make them look nice. That's understood. We didn't need to talk about that. So many times, we always never finish the sentence because the rest of it isn't worth it because it's understood. You understand what I'm going to say. It's like sometimes you've been married so long to your wife, you know what she's going to do before the guy knows what she's going to do. That's our Tlingit language. Harold Jacobs used to say, Harold Jacobs, when he's at a party in Angoon, he said, Daniel Garfield and I would be talking, we'd never finish a sentence, he said. because we didn't have to. It's understood what we're going to do. Sometimes it just requires one sentence. Sometimes one word. Sometimes half of the word. We abbreviate things. Tlinkits are famous for abbreviating things. So we didn't have to say a whole thing to tell a story, or what am I going to do in the party. That's what the leaders are supposed to do. But Glade Ka has incorporated all these verbs. Now it's full sentences, a proper paragraph. Things have to be capitalized. You must understand that the Tlingits always never finished a sentence. Didn't have to, because it was understood that you're going to put on your pants, you're going to put on your shoes before you go out the door. The kids, that's the way they were taught. Most often, they understood their grandparents. This is what you got to do today. You tell them once and that's it. For the rest of their life, they protect their culture by the mere fact that they're Tlingit. You are obligated to do that as clan leaders. You wake up in the morning, those hats speak for you. You do not speak for the hat. You stand up, you protect the hat. In the morning, you protect the hat. You protect the culture. With extreme prejudice if need be. That's what you're obligated to do. That's what all Tlinkits, all Haidas, all Tsimshians, Eskimos, they are obligated by the mere fact that who they are, that God's given them, they are obligated to protect it. Never feel ashamed of who you are. My grandfather used to say, if you feel ashamed of who you are, you ought not be here. It's either yes or no. Tlingit culture does not give maybe, question. And the one thing our elders didn't like is, no. No. Because we understand you're going to make a mistake. Don't say that. Don't give away your weakness. We're always proud of who we are. You have to be that proud to say, hey, I know I'm going to make a mistake. Your uncles knew. The reason why I'm going through this long route is your uncle. When he was going to come and say, who's going to stand in this place after I die? The uncle would say, okay, which one of my nephews is going to stand here? Is he going to be man enough to do this? Is he going to protect the culture like I do? But most often, you want them to do better than you. Be jealous of the fact that you want them to be better than you. Because if they don't, the culture is weak. And you always want the culture strong. Don't ever put yourself down and say, no, you're not a man. You're not a clan leader. Don't ever do that to yourself. All you Tlinkits out there, don't ever do that to yourself. It's embarrassing. Always be proud. Never give up. My grandfather, I'm doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing. So you feel I got some hesitation sometimes to my talk here. And I'm mentioning my grandfather too many times. And it's making me feel uncomfortable. Because in the Tlingit society, the honor system is very prevalent. But today's world, is it really? Is that honor system really working today? The honor system has to always be there. You have to always protect that honor system. My grandfather used to say that respect only lasts far as that door. You walk out that door, he walks out that door, she walks out that door. As soon as he passes that threshold, the respect is gone. Hooch! He or she can backstab you right after that, as soon as you turn your back. So my grandfather always used to say honor, the honor system that's been put in place by our elders will go down through the generations if we keep it there. So women, I always tell these guys here, tell them it's the honor that you give our grandchildren that makes you who you are. Don't never forget that. Always protect that fact. Always protect that word honor, because that's who we are. Must always honor your hats, your clan. And always never forget that respect only lasts far as that door. Honor system in that hat. You protect that hat and the honor system that it symbolizes, it will protect you and the culture that you are representing. It's hard. It's hard to do. I didn't want this being a clan, but I was pouring into it. My uncle said, called a bunch of clan leaders to the house. Told my grandma, my uncle said, get some dry fish together, make some tea and coffee. I'm calling the clan leaders of the village over. I need to make a statement. Waited till all they came in, then the headmasters, and then the chief of the village. They waited for him to come in. And when he came in, he started, he said. He didn't say, make a long sentence and a paragraph and a bunch of nouns and a long story. Because every one of us know who you are. All of us. He looked at everybody, all the clan leaders in the house. I was 5 years old. He stood me by him. He said, Yata. That's all. That's all that needed to be said. It was understood what he said. He wasn't there for the limelight. Or I. You have to get rid of these words, I, myself. You always protect the clan. You always protect your culture. I'm going to keep pounding it in your head. Honor system is there. Right there in those hats. Not you. You're nothing without these people. You respect them, they respect you. And the honor system will go back and forth. Respect didn't come in to the Tlingit language until the Tlaid Ka came. Was never here. My grandfather always used to say, oh, here goes my grandfather again. Well, and my uncles. The uncles are the teachers in the clan. They're the ones that are grooming you to be who you are. Making sure that this nephew is better than him, a better spokesman, a better clan leader, somebody that's going to protect the clan, somebody that's going to protect the culture, even from itself. You have to protect this culture, even from itself. That means if something's going on in here, you have to stand up and protect that hat, this culture. If it's wrong, you say so. Most often, in the event of Tlaid Ka, the white man, we tend not to hurt somebody's feelings. The culture lets us go of that, suspends the rules of the floor, and says, it's either yes or no, no maybe. Remember, clan leaders, you always protect the hat. It's not about you. The other day somebody said, I can't see your face under that hat. It's not about me. It's about the hat and the culture that it represents and the clan that it represents. That's what that is. It's not I, not me. It's the hat, the Dog Salmon clan. That's who we are as clan leaders. That's who you're supposed to be. But the event of Tlaid Ka, these lights, people want to be in front of it and say, I, me, I did this. In the political arena, it's the same thing. I did it. Not we, I did it. And that's wrong. Because it takes a lot of people to get stuff done, whether you like it or not. And we all have to agree that this is who we're going to be as clan leaders. That little pebble in your shoe, you don't keep it there all day. That little pebble in your shoe, you don't keep it there all day. You're going to stop and dump it out. That's what you have to do all the time with this culture. If it's not part of the culture, don't leave it in there. If we don't like it, fix it. Please. Don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass us. You have to all protect us. We have to protect each other. But mind you, the uncles are the ones that put us here. The uncles. That's the way it has always worked. Remember that clan leaders are born, they're not made. They're not made. It's always this way all the time, now and forever. It has sustained us for over 10,000 years. We have 10,000 more years to go. Our grandchildren's grandchildren have to be as strong as we are. Always let them be strong. In Yangon, I teach See how easy that came out? In Yangon, we teach Tlingit language and the culture. We don't charge them for it because we are obligated to do this to them. Not for them, to them. We must always protect our culture. That's how we must do it. Of course, this world works on money, but on the long run, what do the elders always say? It's going to come back. Sometimes it takes a long time to come back. You say, God, when? But it does. It does. You may not know it. He may have led you there and you said no. So, clan leaders, always be mindful. When you make a thought, when you're thinking about the culture, when you make a decision, please, the hat first, not I. Make sure that you make a decision and you honor this culture all the time, every day of the rest of your life, because you are obligated to do this. People don't like that word, but it's there. It's the color of our skin. Don't be ashamed of who you are. If you're ashamed, the elders say, you ought not be here. Don't ever do that to us as a Tlingit nation, as a Haida, as a Tsimshian, Eskimo. Do not do that to us. Always protect us. Always protect the culture with extreme prejudice if you need to. Take no prisoners. It may sound harsh. You may not like what you hear. But in this culture, again, it's not about me. It's not about these people here. It's about the hat that represents the clan, the culture that hat represents. Okay, I'm going to say my grandfather again, my grandpa and my uncles. Used to say, Tlinkits, they're not smart. That's fighting words. She'd pause for a while. Let me sit on it. Let me chew on it for a while. Tlinkits are not smart. They're intelligent. They're intelligent human beings. Always keep that thought in your mind. Don't tell your children and your grandchildren they're smart. You're intelligent. Always give them a higher goal. Always make them smarter than you. Always make them protect their culture more extremely than you. Our culture was structured so that each generation is faster, stronger, more intelligent than this one. The next generation should be stronger, faster, more intelligent than we are now. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? You ask yourself, and you ask those people out there that are Native. Are we doing that? Are they doing that? The answer would be a strong what? You know, say it. No. Don't be afraid to say it. Challenge yourself. Make us stronger. You wives, tell these guys, hey, get on the ball, protect our culture. Clan mothers have that same obligation. They have to protect the culture. They have to steer these guys to protect the culture. When a clan mother is picked, they are picked with qualities that are so strong. Sometimes I've heard somebody talking about they were going to pick this clan mother. She said, no, I don't want it. I don't want that job to be a clan mother, because she knew what it entailed. She knew what it entailed. She was going to have to make decisions that was going to hurt her, her family, her other family on the other side of her. Because these guys weren't willing to make that decision. So it comes down to a woman to make that decision, the clan mother. Sometimes they say this is a thankless job. It's not a job. It's an obligation that we must always adhere to. Same as the clan mother. You must always protect the culture. You wake up in the morning and say, how can I make myself more intelligent? How can I make myself more stronger? How can I make the clan more better, more faster, more intelligent than I am? That's your obligation as a Tlingit when you wake up in the morning. That's not a challenge. That's an obligation you have to wake up with every day. Every time you're walking down the street, people are saying things about our culture. Here today now. So it's always important that we always stand our ground. We protect those hats. So, back to the clan mother. Do you know she just not protects these guys and the clan. She protects the people. She's actually the unannounced, untitled peacemaker of the clan. We had a clan mother. Most of you will remember her, Minnie Johnson. A lot of you guys here know that name out here. You may have not met her personally, but surely in the Tlingit arena, in the Tlingit society, you heard that name. And when you heard that name, you spoke with reverence of it. You honored that name because that's who she was. She protected the clan. She kept the peace. She always said, no maybe, no if. That's like, Gwasya. It's not there, doesn't belong there. It's either yes or no. So it's your obligation to be this all the time, every day, every time you take a breath. That's who you are. That's who we are. God gave this to us. Of course, many times it's a challenge. But mind you, the next generation has to be stronger than us. Next generation that has to be more intelligent than us. We have to do that here, right now. They have to be stronger than these guys. They have to be stronger than me. We. So, it's not too good to talk too long sometimes. Because after a while, you're going to start falling asleep. And sometimes the Tlingit language and what we do, it gets a bit redundant at times. But in our culture, if you don't keep it up, if you don't keep it strong, as a nation, we're going to fail. So we are always obligated to be stronger, more intelligent. Don't be jealous of your grandchildren that are smarter than you. Don't be jealous that your nephew is going to take your place. Pick the smartest nephew, the more intelligent nephew, the nephew that's going to always protect our hats and its culture. Never waver from that law. It's a law. It's been here for 10,000 years. It sustained us for 10,000 years. So the challenge is to wake up every day. When you're putting your socks on, you don't ask yourself, should I put it in the left side or should I put the right side in first? You know what you're going to do. Everybody in this room knows what you're going to do when you get up in the morning. Some of us don't want to know. But remember this obligation as a Tlingit. Stronger. Remember, I'm getting redundant. We have to be redundant as a Tlingit nation. Stronger, faster, more intelligent, all the time. That's your obligation. That's your challenge. When you wake up in the morning, that's who we are. We claim to be this. Are we that? Ask yourself. I'm not going to ask you to say it. But you must always do this. Teach our young ones. Don't charge them for this. Don't charge them for learning our culture. Don't do that to them. You're holding them out. Give it to them if they want it. Freely. Again, what? Again, all together, one. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. We're lucky to have Alan come over from Angoon to help us. A lot of us that were put into this position didn't have the chance to grow up in the culture, so we're glad that the conference has invited us so that we could all learn from the ones that know how things are done. Usually, a panel discussion is when everybody talks, but we don't want to use this for making speeches. This is a panel where we're discussing what's going on wrong in the culture. And there are a lot of things that we need to discuss, so we need to stick to the issue. So it's okay to ask questions while he's talking, the guys up here. We have somebody else that's going to go next. Yeah, it's a panel discussion, so we want to keep it informal, and just like if we were sitting in Andy's living room and talking about things that are going wrong here. Yeah, go.
I'd like to be able to do what our people would have done a long time ago when we came together like this. And we're here in a way to show people the traditions, the customs of our people. And a long time ago when we came together like this, the person that came here would greet the people here.
We did.
You did that in the traditional way already?
Already, yeah,
Oh, was that at the very beginning?
at the beginning.
Sorry. So I wasn't.
Could you give him a mic so for hearing?
Pardon me?
Give him the mic so we can hear him.
Oh, he was asking about if we already did the welcome, which we did on the first day, because he wanted to do something like that, but it was already done. The landowners welcomed all their guests the first day. Well, we'll go ahead with our next presenter, and I hope we'll kind of put him on the spot and ask him questions. So I'm glad you asked that, David. It's okay to ask if we don't know. Yeah.
Well, the thing was, I was not here yesterday.
You weren't here on Wednesday when we did all this. It's kind of misleading what we did on Wednesday. It was called Warming of the Hands. Some of you weren't here. Warming of the hands is kind of misleading. Wow, okay. We had to do it in another part of the building. Long time ago, we were warring nations. And to come to a potlatch, can you imagine all the warring nations getting together on one piece of property and trying to do stuff respectfully concerning our culture and our land? So they came up with the warming of the hands. It was done at another building. That's where the saying came, Atud. Where did he go? Atud Evogud. It meant that he went to that building over there where they're warming of the hands. Remember, we're human. We have petty jealousies. We may not like the other person that's sitting across from us, or even if we might not like the person that we're sitting next to. Heck, we might be praying for him so that God can say, "Oh Lord, please take him now." That's my grandfather. My grandmother got mad at him. "You're not supposed to pray like that." My grandfather said, "What? What did God say?" Ask. What did God say? He said, "Ask, and it shall be given." So that's where he took that from. He said, "Lord, take him now, please." So you went into this room. You left all your garbage in there, your weapons. You shook hands. You showed each other that you didn't have a weapon on you. That's why this other saying came about, "With chin shut." Why? All the hats are holding hands with one another. If you're holding hands, you don't have no weapons. With chin shut, that's where that came from. And Atudevugud meant that he went into the house to get rid of all this garbage, all his petty jealousies. I wish we had that house here today a lot of times, in the business arena, political arena. They left all their petty jealousies in that room. You had to, and you come out representing the clan, the hat that you're wearing. Our people knew that. So they did it that way, warming of their hands. With chin is shut. When you talk, you say, "My hat is holding hands with yours." That's where that came from. And we had to greet each other, shake hands with one another. Even if you didn't like it, you had to say, "I'm sure happy to see you here." You had to get rid of all these things. You had to shed it. You had to take it off. Leave it in that room and come over here and do what we do for our culture, because our culture is important to us. and the potlatches that we do. In Angoon, there was one house designated for that purpose. It was Jim Paul's house, a clan house, right across from the old town hall. Everybody went into that house, got rid of their petty jealousies and left it there, greeted each other, even if you didn't like him, and say, I'm sure happy to see you here. I am happy to see you here because you're shedding all your petty jealousies. We're human. You have to leave it in that room. Walk away and leave it there because the culture is what you're doing. It's not about me. It's not about I or this limelight. It's not about you. Don't make it. Once you make it that, you're hurting our culture. Wow, okay. There we
Is that okay, Dave? David? Is it okay? Is everything okay?
Well, the thing that I just wanted to say is that I know that a long time ago when our people came to parties, sometimes they didn't come to the party the day that it began. But when the leader came to the party, they would give an opportunity to that leader to speak. Because in tradition and our custom was to greet one another with kindness, with love, and to hold each other up in high esteem. The reason why we would say, Ach ishas, is because we want to put in our minds that there are people that are sitting in here that are our father's kinsmen. And we have to watch how we're going to speak. Then we would say, Achlish Kuhas. Achlish Kuhas. The most valuable part of my culture has been my grandparents. Yes, my uncles, but my grandparents taught me a lot when I was a child. So we would greet our grandparents because we don't want to say anything that would offend them, that would hurt them, that would cause them pain or embarrassment. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing here real quick is our oratory wasn't just so that it was a contest and see who could speak the best, but so that we can communicate with each other, not to talk at one another, but to talk with each other. After they say my grandfather's people, they'll say my great-grandfather's people, my mother's grandfather's people. Again, so that we would not offend them at all. That's the reason we greet each other in the way that we do. And then they would say, Achda Kanuhu, Achda Kanuhu. The most valuable part of my lineage, Achda Kanuhu. The one that really makes me who I am today
right now. For example, for me, it's the Kiksadi people. So for me to be able to acknowledge that and express that is basically the reason I wanted to say something, because I wasn't here yesterday. And the way we interact with one another is to work with each other with kindness, with love, with patience, and in the tradition of our elders a long time ago. That is why we were able to settle this land. That's why we were able to be here for 10,000 years or more. And this is how we're going to be able to stay on this earth in Alaska, southeast Alaska, Singitani. We're going to stay for another 10,000 years. This is not brag, and this is what we're going to work for. And so I think it's really important. I heard somebody say something about Ku'ik. I'd like to ask a question. Could anybody here describe, just in whatever number of words you want to be able to use, what a Ku'ik is and what it's all about? Because I've heard a number of different type of things. Yeah, hold the mic. This is a panel discussion, and why don't you go ahead, if it's okay with the rest of you guys, we'll let David go ahead and explain this to us. Is that all right? Ku'ik? Does anybody want to go ahead and answer what?
The way it was explained to me was, in an easy fashion, was it would be my life insurance premium dues.
Anybody else? There are a number of reasons why we have a Ku'ik. For example, the celebration. A lot of people won't look at it as a Ku'ik, but that was an invitation that was sent out by a lot of the elders when the celebration first came into place, because they wanted to talk about our culture with everybody. One of the things that we discussed when we're in the home is, what's going wrong with our belief. Pretty much know all of us a long time ago, but it's certainly not like that anymore, especially in funerals. And so we want to kind of discuss it, and so that all the people will know what's supposed to be done, and who does the speaking at these things. So can you go into it a little bit?
Tasaktuasigu Chiegugekin Kokosla Atra Wasa Aklik Awakaha Yat Awa Twasigu Kosquenicha Akishas Chukanedi Kankian Kagwantan Chakwedi Ushkitan Taklawedi Awayaha Kakiyach Iran Atwutiaha Akish Yach Kwatin Kachukanedi Kish Haswusatiha Ikech Satiniha Achasachtuasiku Kindi Shatha Johan Aksanihas Tlek Chaka. David mentioned earlier that we communicate with each other, and and the reason we say
Chadechatnu is one, I am not above you. And two, to humble myself that I may make a mistake. And I've heard it stated by an elder, "Yikach u ahwe," you will forgive me. There are many different ways that I've heard elders say these words. And I'm not saying it against anybody. This is what we use. And I tlesach toa was Chakha was teen ha tush atnuch. Tutli on teen yewe it was sachach lik. Tutli on with kindness, which was chan, with love. Tletsin dain, yes, for strength, so we would be strengthened inside. Words of comfort. And this happens at the puig when we balance each other out to encourage each other. My outer shell, Dakanuku, Chukani, Chukanedi, Chukish. And I have a sister out here, Ruth Demert. We are the same clan. When we split, we were the same clan, and that's why she's my sister. I would like to say that I came in on yesterday and wasn't able to be here on the hand warming ceremony. But I look at my brothers sitting here, and we are faced with a big challenge. We are in crisis. Why do I say that? Because there's so many of our children don't have homes. They don't have parents. Our children are being taken away into non-Tlingit homes. This is what our elders and our clan leaders would be concerned about our people that we're losing in our battle. Let us think about our children, our grandchildren, the ones that we are losing, the lost generation. It was stated by my brother over here, Tlinedi. I think that's what your clan is. I look like a dog salmon in the back of your vest. Not to think of ourselves too highly of ourselves, and to see the hats, the spirits of our ancestors are in those hats. And when we put them on, we step into the spirit of our ancestor. And we become them. That's what I look at these gentlemen here is as if, Chukanedi man is as if I see my father. Is as if I see my father. How strong our culture is. My father is still alive. When I see my brother-in-law, as if my father is still alive and I don't have to feel lonesome for him because he's sitting right there. Yeweha yitin ha chak ushkhan. We held each other up with dignity. This is what Austin Hammond instructed me years ago when I was helping him with the culture camp. He sat me down at a table, and there were elders sitting to one side. Richard King, Mary King, Phillips, my children's grandmother, Daisy Phillips, Amy Marvin. I didn't know what he was doing, but I know he was training me. And he just looked at me and then he hit the table hard. Touch the cow ding. He said this to me very sternly, like an uncle, as if I was being put in the water and hit with the branches after I come out. Then he calmed down and he said to me in English, when you talk to the people, look at them eye to eye. This is my instruction from my clan leader. Don't look above them. I was thinking, I wish I was down there and not above you, because I'm not. The gentleman says we're nothing without you. That is true. And he says sometimes if they're not going to listen to you, put yourself a little lower than they are and talk lower to them. Maybe they'll listen to you then. You all knew Austin Hammond, a Khunkawa, that was my older brother. And that is things that we try to encourage each other with, these words. And it's not my place to talk to you like that, but I'm sharing with you, this is the way my elder instructed me. So maybe you will know why I conduct myself the way I conduct myself. And my mother would say, in closing, don't use your words, or don't talk, make your speech too long, because your stick gets longer and it gets harder to handle. And might hit somebody and hurt somebody. So I don't want to hurt anyone. And I'd like to recognize my niece, my grandma also, Shit Kwe, Tukakadi. Thank you. My sister Nora, too.
Buenas noches. Hashikata Kago Oyi on Yahashana good the leaders Yahashana at Oyi on Aya Chatakoya Akach Achtuuk Lake Yahakusti Yihon Chedaine. Yagi a cock to Wuxleke Konach Yat a koi in Kankanik Ya Katushit was 100 years ago, Shakdeya Swanton Yudawasago Ka. Yagat Kowatin Shitka Aya Ach to Jitkawa Susan Gitskasinki Jo Achaya Ukaya Hayati Stakati Hon Hachat Stakat Ohan Ukaya Hayati Kazkotach Ayach Akunik Yata Ayaduk Anayewoti Kessingit Acht Ajayat Kasayden Wune Ayastel Kataya Watu Kasaku wood Dasa Dat Kadushkiti Awanganin so kadik na stage achik Ajaya konach achusi kuha has to hande for good Chanasakanachlanigit. Aya Ukat Kautuajas. Singich Nakatuwood. Wook aga. Yeah. Aya Aditke. What Aditke? Idris tu akach. Yeah, aya kankani gidach tu yati. Yeah, ik our house leader was it Heinzig Austin Hammond was he who to the time was ushkagachtasane ha ati anak nakagutini ha ati ayastakat to jintaya uti hat atke jeskot ha hitke kaya kana ut atke chakudye de agachtasne aya adat tuwati aya lawyer awashi lawyer to kaidach kaudujihit adusa yahit dayan de kwanak kayat atik all of the property of Sakafadi. And well, lawyer Tina Kananigoa, Hachko Awaya Kanakshahit, Waha at Uwu, Aktuyak Ayak Takiti, Yesinayi. Sach ha'atu aya ohantu hajiwo Austin aye sakat the family ati kashko aya tenaka chashad ohan aya hakia. There's more people who own it, who own the hat. Is this true? Does the clan own the hat? Not an individual, but many, and those to come. Achtaya Koshesike Kesh Haati Ayat Keshkat Kayat Achik Heshas to Ati Ayat Stakat Uhan Shakakat Khasati. This is Austin's legacy and the family of that went before him. That's the way I understand it. It doesn't belong to one individual. Is this true? Is it true? I'm asking you. Is it true that it belongs to everybody? Or does it belong to one person? Does the house belong to one person? Does it? Or does it belong to a whole bunch of people. I understand that this house, Clan House, belongs to all of us, Shikahadi. And Austin, in his thinking, drew up a piece of paper with the lawyer he hired. And named 3 trustees. This is going into English, going from Tlingit to English, inheritance. And he named 3 of us. I told him I don't want to be, because I'm a woman. They said, no, you have to be there. I don't know what his thinking was, but he included me in being a trustee. So I would like to know, still like to know, if a house belongs to an individual or a whole bunch of people. We need to know, because we're going to run into trouble again, and we're going to have to solve it somehow. The misunderstanding of my nephew Ray, he's my nephew, blood nephew, is that the house, he becomes a chief forever until he dies. Well, that's all right. That's an all right thinking. But when we put him there, it was with the understanding he's going to take care of the house. It didn't happen. The pipes sprung a leak in the house, and there was no one to fix it. The house got flooded with water. Nobody there to fix it.
I don't think this is what the is here for.
It's all right. I want people to know, because I don't want them to misunderstand why Ray was removed. I am happy that you learned about it. Yeah, yeah. No.
sa ade yehana u achlish u has lukachadi. Ya utuchiku kachil ye yati achlish u has to hiti. Ya ye aweko a utuchiku ade yituwasiku wu ade atachi ako ye. Ayuhan yijintag weju duanak. Yijintag ju duanak. Wutachiku. Achawe, hakawasi guko kles kadek tu adayuha yis adi. You tusi khan chat ye aware aktundatan yati. So we want to just go ahead and stop in the family issues that occur in clans. There will be family issues, and there will be disagreements. And normally what we do is we keep it within our clan. And I know that for me, in my clan, there was an issue that occurred with us. And someone said, this person is now the leader, and another one said, no, this person's now the leader. And my uncle had a party. I'm not going to go into that. So what I said as a leader, if anything, we can have a disagreement, but the most important thing we need to do is love each other, to stand with each other, to encourage one another, to compliment one another. And this took a lot of courage for you to bring up what you just did, Nora. It took a lot of courage to do it. There's a lot of pain in what you're talking about. We feel it. We can feel that. It hurts ourselves as well. But there's no better place in a way to be able to do what you're doing right now, because there is going to be disagreements or misunderstandings that occur. But if we follow the path of those who come on, those who walk before us, we follow their path, we'll stay in a good road. So thank you for bringing what you brought up, and it's awkward for us. It's a little awkward for us, but we hear what you're saying. As a wise man told me one time, I think this is time for a break. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a little bit.